Hello and welcome to the Charleston Duck Race Kickoff for 2023. For those of you joining us for the first time, this series within our YouTube channel for the Rotary Club of Daniel Island will be the place that we will be placing all of our how-to guides for the Charleston Duck Race, anything from how to fill out an adoption form to how to enter into Little Green Light as a record keeper throughout the years. And just want to get into the kickoff here today, and I'll kind of get into the how-to guide towards the end. It's the last slide, so we'll go ahead and talk about that then. So this is our agenda for the duck race kickoff. The purpose of this kickoff on YouTube is for anybody that may have missed the kickoff at their individual club, but wants to kind of get clued into what's going on with the Charleston Duck Race for this year. So this is everything that we're going to go through, and I'll be pretty brief. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes because, I definitely want to make sure that everybody gets the information needed, but isn't overloaded or overwhelmed with how long the kickoff can be. So just kind of getting into this, the why we do this, I think it's pretty evident that it's a wonderful event for all of the Charleston Duck Race. 17 years of this, we've raised nearly $2.5 million. I wanted to put over 2.5, but we were very close. So I don't want to toot our own horn without being at that level just yet, but I think we'll be there this year. I think it really does hit on all four tenets of being a Rotarian. The service above self, it builds goodwill and better friendship throughout the clubs. We do a wonderful job at collectively coming together and putting this to be a wonderful event for everybody in Charleston. A couple of changes from last year, some big muscle movements here with George Roberts switching out. I have taken over for him this year. For those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Evan Murray, and I am a member of the Rotary Club of Daniel Island and have been for about 3 years now. Some big changes there in the head duck position, but the other major big change is Mike Sadzina. I just want to recognize him real quickly because Mike Sadzina did pass away this year. And it was a huge loss to our club because, all 17 years of the duck race, he was very involved. And up until, moments before he passed, he was working on the duck race. And I can't say enough good things about Mike. I was super excited to find out that Bill Stevens was going to be assisting and filling that role for Mike this year because he is also a world of knowledge, as we call him, the godfather of the Rotary Club. One other change is we added a day of coordinator based on some recommendations and feedback. And we'll kind of get into the feedback towards the end as we kind of discuss 2022 past and what we're going to do this year as our kind of changes for the layouts. But Caitlin Waddington, much like a day of wedding coordinator, will be assisting all the Rotarians at the event and all the sponsors as well as to where to set up, how to set up, what's the best practices here. And she's familiar with the Guggenheim Terrace, which is the location that we'll be doing this year. So those are the big changes. We kind of, are transitioning in our club as well, a little bit of turnover. So we're kind of, continuing to refine and we'll make sure to pass that along as well. So this is our major events timeline. As you can see, the biggest wave top here is that we did, in fact, move the race day up to May 6th this year. And that was based on some feedback. Temperature last year, we were hitting 95. I think I saw even, the youngest of folks almost passing out. It was pretty warm that day, so we wanted to make sure that we weren't doing that. Additionally, we wanted to deconflict with the Credit One Stadium across the street from Guggenheim Terrace. So we figured this was a good way to do so. May 6th, they typically don't have their big names coming in until, mid-June and onward. So, we're happy to continue to change and make modifications as necessary. So any feedback y'all have for the Charleston Duck Race, we're happy to hear it as well. But as you can see, February 15th was the kickoff for the Rotary Club of Daniel Island. A couple of other clubs have had their individual kickoffs as well, to include the North Charleston Breakfast Club and the Cane Hoy Club. And we're kind of continuing to get to each club as we refine this process. So our next assembly will be March 15th, which is going to be right before the Quackapalooza event. As you can see, Quackapalooza is going to be March 22nd this year. And that is going to be a slide in later in this deck. So we'll talk about it then. But March 22nd, Quack is back. All right, so just getting into it. So I want to kind of touch on the types of transactions. There's no major changes here. There's still three types of transactions and two methods in which to do so. So your three types of transactions are adoptions. It's not a purchase, it's an adoption. Make sure you're not saying buy ducks. Make sure you're saying adopt ducks. It's all part of the lingo. So we want to make sure we're using the right verbiage here. So adoptions, if you do adopt a duck, that means you have ducks in the race. If you do a donation, you have no ducks, but it is tax deductible. So it's kind of a trade-off. We always kind of say it's a little bit like marketing versus do you want to do marketing or do you want to do a charitable donation? So it's really preference, and a lot of the folks do want to do the adoptions because they want to have that duck in the race and have a chance at $10,000. That's kind of the two big ones. And then, of course, sponsorship. So this is where the vast majority of our money comes from for the Charleston Duck Race is sponsorships. There's a number of levels, and we'll go over those in the sponsorship section. It's a wonderful method in which the businesses in the Charleston area or beyond can show that they're helping the community and supporting the community in this way. So the two transaction path methods. So you've got your website and paper, really. So it's analog and digital. And so your digital website, you can do that on a computer, a phone, iPad. I'm sure you can probably figure out a way to do it on your kid's tablet. Who knows? That method is going to be using your credit card or debit for payment. The system that we use for our website, so it's a Wix website that feeds directly into a system called Stripe, and that Stripe feeds right into the foundation bank account. So it's the most simplified method in which to do so. So we're actually trying to push for more website sales than anything. And the reason for that is it just kind of helps out the record keepers in the future because the next method, the analog method, the paper method, if you will, you'll pay with cash check. You can also pay with a credit card using the square readers. But when you do it this way, it has to be manually entered into the little green light system, which is the system of record that we use as Rotarians to feed the system and show where that money is going to and how it was received. That way, when the IRS comes knocking on our door later on in the year, we are all up to record and up to speed for them in case they decide to audit us. So that's kind of our methods in which to do adoptions and sponsorship sales. So we'll kind of go into adoptions first, and then we'll touch on sponsorships as well. So there's an entire how-to guide on how to fill out this adoption form. So I won't. I'm just going to hit the wave types of changes from last year. Okay, so delving into the adoption forms, there's an entire how-to guide on how to fill out this adoption form properly. So I won't go too detailed into it. I'll just touch on the changes from last year. The biggest change being in the purchase type. The purchase type, it originally said adoption, donation, or charity. We took out the charity portion because a lot of folks were confused as to what that meant. And that really just meant that they could select a charity of their choosing to donate their money towards. But not a whole lot of folks did it. So we just went ahead and took that out. We also put some clarifying language in to show adoption does give you ducks in the race and donation does not give you ducks in the race. The last portion that we changed on this adoption form is in the bottom right here. It's a section for the record keepers only. So each club should have a record keeper that has to enter all of their cash transactions or check transactions into the little green light system that I was just discussing. And in the bottom right, the little green, the record keeper will check that this form was entered into little green light. And each transaction now has an ID number. So we're going to go ahead and put the ID number in there. That way you have paper form copies of every transaction for the year in case there is any type of audit necessary for the clubs. Okay, so moving into the website adoptions and sponsorships, no real major changes to the website adoptions. We still have a landing page for each club, and it shows all the credited Rotarians inside of the membership. If you have new members, make sure you reach out to your club liaison so that we get them entered into the website sales and into the little green light system so that we can keep track of how many ducks they've had adopted and how many donations they've received as well. So if you're not familiar with the Charleston Duck Race website, it's charlestonduckrace.com. Check it out, kind of click around, make sure you make a donation maybe. And once that happens, once someone makes a donation, the donor will receive an email with their receipt so that they can provide that to their accountant if it was a donation for charitable donations. And then the transaction automatically links into Little Green Light. So that's why I'm saying the website method in which to adopt or donate or sponsor is a little bit easier for our record keepers in the future. All right, so one of the things that we've been really kind of touching on is where can we best place ourselves to have a sales event for duck adoptions and donations. So one of the things the Daniel Island Club did this year is we pulled together all the events calendars from the major organizations, from the property owners associations to the Daniel Island Business Association to Credit One Stadium, to better do some sales events and show some presence of the Rotarians on the island. If you ever have a sales event that pops up and it's very last minute, but you need some stuff to go ahead and do that event, there is always a laptop case and a suitcase full of sales items inside of the Daniel Island Real Estate Office, which is located at 101 River Landing Drive on Daniel Island, and that's 29492. So inside of that, you'll have some large ducks, small ducks, forms. Every type of form possible is in there. I always maintain 50 plus of each and 150 of each of the adoption forms. Additionally, we'll have the square reader and the Rotary Club of Daniel Island's laptop inside of there. Some petty cash for any cash type of sales. I'll have a set of table and chairs directly behind that suitcase available as well. And we'll also have an iPad in there if you want to use that for your square reader, and a sign that shows the Charity Duck Race logos on it. In fact, we're ordering some new signs right now. So this actually says RCDI sign, but it's going to just say Charleston Duck Race on there instead. All right, so next we're going to talk about like the kind of individual sales. So North Charleston Breakfast has done a wonderful job at setting up the St. Patrick's Day sales event. If you've never been out to the Park Circle St. Patrick's Day, it's a wonderful little parade and plenty of green beer going around. It's a great opportunity. So this is just kind of a highlight of one of the good sales events that we've kind of adopted over the past couple of years, and we're going to continue to keep doing. And I thank the North Charleston Breakfast Club for setting this up because it's a wonderful event. So definitely looking forward to it this year. So if you're around March 11th, stop by Park Circle and join us over there for some duck sales. So. All right, so sponsorship. As I discussed earlier, the sponsorship is really the biggest chunk for us. These are all the sponsors from last year. It's a massive amount of sponsors throughout the years, and they've done a wonderful job at making sure that they were a part of the community organization, and I can't thank our sponsors enough. But sponsorship, we got some feedback from last year, and we've been continually changing and refining. So one of the things that we did add for this year, a huge shout out to Frank Wells, actually, at Holy City Med, who decided that he would continue to donate if they added a purple level. And the purple level I thought was a great idea because we needed a new level as it was, because one of the biggest refinements from last year was sponsors really wanted tents. They wanted to be a part of the event. So, we measured up the space. We kind of figured out how many tents we could fit. And, we added this purple level. And so anybody at purple and above will get a tent for the race day. And that's up to 20 folks. Looking at our list from last year in the $1,000 sponsorship level, I think this is a feasible number, 20 folks wanting tents. And, if we have a few extra, we could probably figure out a way to fit them in. And one of the clarifying pieces that has been asked to me, if they do not have a tent, we are happy to provide them a tent. But most of these folks do, in fact, have tents. So I think it'll be few and far between. But that's actually why we upped it to $1,200, because $200 would kind of cover that gap between if they didn't have a tent. So the gold and above level gets you a custom landing page now. And for more on that, you can kind of see the how-to series on the website, and we'll kind of discuss that in further detail on there. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to reach out. All right, so why become a sponsor? So, this is a good question. So like a lot of folks are, out there making their sponsorships pitches, their elevator pitches, what have you. So The biggest one is the recognition. Honestly, recognition at a charitable event like this is huge, and putting it in front of a local community and just kind of highlighting that they are part of that community and want to help out as much as they can. I think that's the biggest thing for them. You know, it's been a kind of staple in Charleston for the past 17 years at least, and I think a lot of folks understand that being a part of this is a great thing. So it's almost one of those things that the folks, they ask it, but they kind of know in the back of their mind, yes, it's absolutely a great organization to donate my time and money towards. Okay, so moving into the after action review, as I'm calling it, from last year. So this is kind of a list of all the feedback that we received, and it's actually kind of my baseline of how I started for the duck race this year. So day of race, we got quite a bit of feedback on that. Sales, operations, and Quackapalooza, we got some feedback on that, and we took all of those pieces and tried to insert those in as much as possible. The only one that we're kind of hitting the stopgap on right now is adult-oriented entertainment, which is a beer cart and cocktails. We do have Agave and New Rum right across the street there, and I think that those are probably going to be our limited options based on liability insurance. So, I think there's a couple of things that we can continue to refine each year. So, we're going to continue to push out those survey monkeys to see if we can't get some more for the next years. All right, so race day operations and race day fun. So this is kind of our layout for this year. So if you were at the 2022 duck race, you know exactly how we ran it. We had the fire truck pushing those ducks along the race location of the pond at the Guggenheim Terrace there. We had tents on one side, but we did not have tents on this side. And that was actually just kind of discovery learning. So we found out last year that we did, in fact, own this entire lane. They shut it entirely down. And this year we decided, well, we might as well use that side. So we're going to go ahead and add some additional tents over here. And that's how we got the sponsorship tents. Up top, we're going to have a DJ just like last year, and the Rotary Club of Daniel Island sales tent. So, duck adoptions can happen up to basically up to the race. We're going to cut it off about an hour beforehand to make sure that we have the correct ducks filled out into their proper RFID tag number. So and then additionally, we'll make sure we have we're looking into it as of right now, but just to kind of give a sneak peek, we're working on some food trucks as well. But there's a fine line that we kind of want to skirt because we don't want to upset some of our major sponsors that are also in the area. So for more questions on this, please feel free to reach out. But if you have any concerns, questions, or feedback, we'd be happy to accept that. All right, getting into Quackapalooza. So Quackapalooza, Quack is back, if you will, or Quackapalooza 2, the Electric Boogaloo. So this year, we're going to be doing it at Alhambra Hall, just like last year. It is going to be $50 tickets instead of $100 from last year. It's going to be very similar format to last year, but more of a fellowship event, less of a money-raising event and more so of a fellowship event for the Charleston area Rotary clubs. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30. There will be food provided, and it's going to be a wonderful event. For more questions on this, please reach out to Mary Jo Romeo, who is in charge of the event, and make sure you register on the website because the spots are already filling up quickly. All right, so 2022, last year's breakdown. We did a wonderful job last year. We hit a record for not only for the Daniel Island Club, but also for all other clubs as well. We topped off at $222,000 from last year. It was huge, and I think we can continue to progress and get better every year. And as you can see, the website took in 84,000 of that. So it's starting to kind of transition more into the website sales, and I'm extremely excited to continue to push that number higher. And then sponsorships, I definitely want to harp on this. It was 61% of our total revenue from last year. So if you know of any businesses in the area that may be interested, and you need a way to contact them, I'm sure we can figure out a way. So let's all just kind of get together and we'll work on that. All right. So the goals for the Rotary Club of Daniel Island this year, our goal for our club is $175,000, so $20,000 more than last year. And overall, I want to strive higher for the entire Charleston area. 275 for the overall. I think that's definitely feasible. And quite honestly, with the enthusiasm that I've seen from the other clubs, I can't imagine that we won't meet that goal this year. So, a lot of questions have been thrown around of the future of the duck race and how we make it larger. The pictures in here, so this was probably sent to me, I don't know, half a dozen times by, number of Rotarians. This is the Chicago Ducky Derby. It's in fact not a Rotarian event. It is a Special Olympics event. It's much like our bocce event here for the Special Olympics that they do annually. And it looks like a lot more ducks than we have, but it's not. It's actually 50,000. So, we have 30,000 ducks currently. And I think this is something that we could feasibly do in the future. Obviously this is my first year as the head duck, so I didn't want to make any major muscle movement changes. George Roberts has done a wonderful job these past 5 years, and I don't want to make too many big changes until I know the ins and outs of everything that he did, potentially subconsciously. I'm always taking feedback as to how we can refine this better. One of the big ones right now is the USS Yorktown, and that was kind of in honor of Mike Sadzina, as he had a huge hand in the USS Yorktown as well. And I love that idea, so we're kind of looking into that one for next year. Another one that we had was Riverside Park, and I absolutely love that idea as well. I think that's a great location. There's tons of room, and we could do so much there. So always looking for great feedback and ideas on this. So happy to accept that. And this last one, so how-to series. So you're currently here, so you obviously know where it's at, and I won't go into that. But every year, it seems like 6 months, 8 months pass, and you kind of forget about the duck race, and you forget about the weird minor intricacies of saying adoption versus buy and things of that nature. The purpose of this how-to series is going to be a good refresher for folks, but also it's great for the new members that want to learn more about the duck race. And I apologize for going back to that old slide there. But as of right now, these are the ideas that I've been given, which is how to fill out an adoption form, how to purchase on the website, how to use Little Green Light, and adding this kickoff meeting to it. And I think it's a great idea. And we're going to continue to refine and add to this how-to series as we, kind of figure out what things are good to teach to folks. And I think it'll keep a linear progression and keep us pushing the ball up the hill. So other than that, I want to say thank you guys so much for joining in the fun of the Charleston Duck Race. I'm happy to be the new head duck for this year of 2023, the 17th Duck Race. And I think I'm excited to see what happens over the next 5 years and what happens for the 25th annual duck race. I think we're really moving this thing along, and it's a wonderful event. And in fact, it was the only thing that I knew about Rotary coming into Rotary was the duck race, and I was extremely excited to get involved, and I was so happy when George asked if I would join the duck race team. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My contact info is listed at the bottom of the slide, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.